Welcome to another episode of the Rough Cut. It is 4th of July weekend. My name is Matthew Ruff. Let's get going. Okay, so obviously it's the off season for most sports, besides the World Cup, which is happening right now. As I'm recording this, Argentina and Cape Verde are playing right now. I would assume Argentina is going to win that one unless there's a crazy upset. Who knows? I'd like to see Messi advance. If they do, they play Egypt. So that'd be kind of cool. I wasn't planning on starting with the World Cup, but I guess we've already begun with that. So honestly, let's do it. Round of 16 starts tomorrow. We have Paraguay and France, 2 p.m. tomorrow. Then also tomorrow, actually the first game is Canada and Morocco. Go Canada. Hopefully they can do that. If France and Canada both win, then we'll have a French matchup, I guess, versus Canada and France. Could be kind of fun. Portugal and Spain play on Monday. The U.S. and the waffle country, Belgium, play on Monday as well, 5 o'clock. Then we have Brazil and Norway. That should be a good one. Brazil, great team, but Norway, who knows? They can make a run. Mexico, England, could be very fun. Mexico's crowd has been electric. I'm not sure where that game's at. It doesn't tell me on here. If it's in Mexico City, that's amazing. That crowd is going to be so wild, and that'll just be a fun matchup altogether. Again, if Argentina wins, they play Egypt on Tuesday. Egypt with the penalty win today against Australia. And as I was watching that, obviously I don't know much about soccer, so this is not going to sound great, but I don't get how every penalty kick is not, how is it not 95% that they make their penalty kicks? It is a large net. The goalie is just literally guessing where they're going to kick it. And Australia's 2 misses, the goalie didn't even touch it. One was just over the net. How do you just miss the net completely? The other one hit the crossbar, again, still missed the net. And that cost them, and Egypt made all theirs. I just feel like if I was doing that, I would do like a Matthew Stafford no-look pass with kicking. As long as you get the goalie going the other direction, you could kick it pretty softly and still score. So I've always been kind of confused on how there's not more penalty kicks scored. But again, I'm just a casual. Obviously, it's more difficult than it looks. And that cost Australia, though. So Egypt will probably play Argentina. Then we have Switzerland against Colombia or Ghana, who play today after the Argentina game. So it should be an exciting round of 16. Obviously, U.S. lost one of their best players to a red card that was very questionable. Also, the offsides rule is kind of driving me nuts. I get it. I understand the rule, I guess. It's just so weird how they call it. Why don't they just blow the whistle when it happens instead of letting them score, get all excited, and then be like, no. It's really strange. Hockey obviously blows it when they see it. If they don't see it and they score, there's a challenge usually that can get reversed. But this, they just let them play knowing it's offsides, being like, hey, if you score, we're going to really just let you down. Those refs are, I don't know, I feel like soccer refs or football refs. They don't really care as much. They kind of have a don't give a F kind of mentality. And I guess I can respect that, but that's part of the game. It just seems kind of weird that every time it's like they score, everyone's going crazy. And then you point to them, they're holding that flag out and they're like, Weird. But altogether, it's been a fantastic World Cup, I think. Way more scoring than I think people are used to when it comes to this sport, which is obviously way more exciting. And it's been a great World Cup. Obviously, I hope U.S. and Canada can somehow keep winning. I doubt Canada will be able to get by France. France is pretty much going to be favored in that one. And then if U.S. wins, they're either playing Portugal or Spain. It would be pretty cool to see U.S. versus Ronaldo. That would just be kind of a fun matchup. If they do win their game on Monday, they play on Friday at 10 a.m. or at noon. It's kind of lame, mid-work day on a Friday. They have a pretty important quarterfinal game. But hey, we'll get there when we get there. Let's move on to the free agency for NHL and NBA. Obviously, a lot of big moves after the Giannis trade before the draft. I think I haven't recorded since then. I kind of thought maybe he was going to the Celtics. Ends up going to the Heat for a very large package that the Bucks ended up receiving. Not completely sure how the Heat are going to fill out their team. Obviously, they got Tim Hardaway, but they lost Norman Powell. Not sure what's going to happen with Wiggins. It's kind of an interesting roster. I kind of trust Pat Riley to make some sort of other move. Not sure if LeBron's going to go there. I kind of would like to see him on that team just because I feel like he could be the most LeBron out of all the teams he could go to. And obviously him and Giannis would be kind of a fun pairing. I just don't know if at this point in his career he's going to move all the way back out east, unless he like tells his family, hey, it's just a 1 year thing. But I don't know. That's a personal thing. He could also go to Cleveland. I could see him fitting in there. I mean, ending his career in Cleveland kind of makes sense. It actually makes a lot of sense. I still don't know what that team does. I mean, maybe they actually probably would be decent, obviously, but I don't know. Cleveland has just kind of screwed things up in the past, and at this point, no respect to him. A 42-year-old LeBron. Not sure how much he's going to be able to carry the weight going deep into the playoffs, but who knows? It's the East. The East is pretty wide open. I do like what the Hornets have done, although they did get rid of LaMelo. They got a lot for him. I think Naz Reid was a great pickup for them. Then they trade Miles Bridges. They get Grayson Allen back. They get more picks. So they have probably the most picks out of any team in the East to make any other move they possibly could, depending on how their season starts. Kobe White, I actually kind of like more than LaMelo, just as a mature player who can play in big-time games. I haven't seen that yet, but obviously went to North Carolina, had a good career there, played decent, played really good in the play-in games. And LaMelo just hasn't had that playoff win yet. He hasn't had that playoff experience yet. And a lot of the Hornets team hasn't, but he's the star player, and he doesn't seem to be the type of player that championship teams recently have had. Like, there hasn't been like a LaMelo on the Knicks. There hasn't been LaMelo on the Celtics when they won, or the Thunder. Usually you need players that play a little more defense, that are less careless turning the ball over. Obviously, he's a fun player. Him and Ant are going to be a great backcourt. Going to be a fun, very fun, probably the league pass team of the year. How far they go into the playoffs? Not sure. I don't know. Ant's still the guy. Will that piss LaMelo off? I don't know. We'll see. That could be interesting. I could see it going pretty well, but I don't see it taking them over the top. I think they gave up quite a bit. Obviously, they really trust McDaniels. They really like Gobert. Ant's still there, so who knows? They could do something, but in the West, it's just, I don't think that's the move that's going to do much for them. We'll see. As far as LeBron goes, every team's on the table pretty much. The Lakers were not interested in offering him anything, and then they've made some kind of questionable moves, giving up a lot for Kessler. A lot for Kessler. Not that Kessler's a bad player, but they gave up a lot for a guy that hasn't really proved much. And I get why the Jazz did it. I know why the Jazz probably did want to keep Kessler, but it's hard to refuse that package, and it might still not make them get to the point they want to get to yet after all these years of tanking. It might take them a little bit of a step back, but it's not like they were going to win the West this year. So I think they're willing to take on a little more picks, take a little bit of a step back while still improving more than they have been. If Peterson hits, that'll be good for them. I think they might be a play-in team in the West at this point. We'll see, though. I have liked some of the moves they made, and again, they have a lot of picks to do more if they would like to. So we'll see. That's mostly the main things. Obviously, Jaylen Brown trade. Still kind of confused by that. It's very weird to see the Celtics and Sixers have that massive of a trade for very historic rivals in the NBA. I'm kind of confused by what Brad Stevens did. It doesn't seem like a move he would usually make. Obviously, they could have added a little more and gotten Giannis for that package. Instead, they get Paul George with one of the worst contracts in the league. And is he still good? I don't know. They got 2 firsts and 2 seconds. They didn't even get Philly's best pick that they have, which I believe is a Clippers pick. It just is kind of a confusing move. Clearly, there was a lot of noise around the league that people didn't want Jaylen Brown. I'm not sure what that is, if it's his personality, if there's something in the locker room. Clearly, the Celtics did not want him there anymore. So I think there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that was not said. Will that come out? Who knows? But they were very willing to get off him and send him to a rival they're going to play a lot. The rival that beat them, that came back from 3-1 this year in the playoffs and beat them. And for the Sixers, I really like it. Maxey, VJ, Jalen, Embiid, which Embiid is, I don't think they made this move for Embiid. I think they made this move for their future, obviously, with Maxey, VJ, and Jalen being their kind of big 3. And I like that a lot. In the East, that could win them. That could take them to the conference finals, truthfully. If they stay healthy, having a wing player like Jalen who has had experience going in deep playoff runs, will they win the East? No, I don't think they're that good yet, but it's definitely promising for their future. They still have more moves they can make, and they got off that awful Paul George contract to bring in a finals MVP. Not that he's like a traditional finals MVP, but he still is a finals MVP that they got in for a pretty cheap price, where the Celtics, I think, could have either waited to get more in the future or traded him a little earlier and maybe given up a little more in that Giannis package to get Giannis in. But clearly there was something about Jaylen Brown they just wanted to get rid of and keep moving forward. So interesting to see how that will impact both teams. But I kind of like that one a lot more for the Sixers. Feels a little confusing for the Celtics unless they're using those picks and Paul George to make another move, which seems more likely because I don't see this taking the Celtics forward this year. And as the Celtics organization, they're always going for championships. So it seems like a very interesting move for a organization that doesn't do moves like that. Again, might be another move coming. That would make more sense. Still pretty odd to move after all the talk of what they could have gotten, what they could have done. They end up with that being the final move. Seems strange, but hey, it's not as bad as the Luka trade, so at least they have that going for them. Speaking of Luka, feel bad for that guy because I don't think the Lakers have taken a step forward at all. Yes, Kessler and him might work together, and hey, it's instead of the Showtime Lakers, it's kind of the Snowtime Lakers with three of their best guys just being white players. And hey, not that there's anything wrong with that, but when's the last time a championship team had three of their best players be white guys? Just, food for thought. Love Luka. Not sure if these moves are going to make him want to stay in the future. Who knows? All right. NHL free agency. Again, I'm going to talk hockey at times. Not everyone's going to know what's happening. I'm going to talk mostly the Oilers right now. So somehow Stan Bowman actually won fans over. Has not been a favorite of ours for a while. But the fact he got rid of Darnell Nurse's contract without retaining any of that money is pretty wild, just because I thought we were going to have to give up future picks and maybe more for anyone to take on that entire contract. And if we were going to trade him, I thought we were going to have to retain at least half of it. So to get off of him, get two pieces that aren't really probably going to play in the AHL or lower leagues, but we got him to the Sharks and they retained all of his salary. Then we signed a defensive guy from the Penguins who maybe isn't as good as Nurse offensively or all around. Again, Nurse was not great the last couple of years. I think his hate was a little exaggerated just because of his contract. Yes, his contract was very high and there's still 4 years left on it, but it's not like he was the worst defenseman in the league like some people acted. Was he great? Definitely not. So the fact we got rid of him, signed a defenseman for a lower price tag, re-signed Kapanen, then we signed Devin Levi, or we traded for him. I think maybe the third, maybe a second. He's 24 years old. He's played in the AHL for a while. I think there's some promise there, but I mean, obviously for a win now move, it's not. I don't know what our tandem's going to be, because then we also signed Freddie Anderson, who had a really good playoff run until the finals, where then he got yanked at game 4. Brandon Bussey came in, played much, much better. But it's still a better tandem than we had last year with Jari and Ingram and Skinner kind of just, who knows what was going on there. I'm not sure what we're going to do with Jari. It'll probably be an Anderson-Jari rotation for a while until Levi gets the experience he needs. We'll bring him up. Hopefully he's good. Knowing the Oilers, we'll see. It's hard to believe in goaltending with this team just because it's never clicked. And if it doesn't work this year, we're losing McDavid. And we made a lot of moves that, who knows? Signing Mike Babcock to be our coach, obviously they needed McDavid's approval. They needed Draisaitl's approval. They needed the big guy's approval. So I don't like it at all. But people saying like, oh, this is the move that's going to make McDavid leave. It's like they wouldn't have hired Mike Babcock if Connor McDavid was not on board with the move. So I don't agree with like, this is what's going to make him leave. But it better work. And I'm skeptical that it will work with him. But hey, if it clicks and we start playing like the 08 Red Wings, then that would be amazing. We will see. I think obviously we still have about $7 or $8 million left in cap room because of that move. So I would like to sign maybe a little more depth forward for third and fourth lines. A couple bottom end defensemen would be great. And yeah, I mean, it's something. The fact we got rid of Nurse is crazy. The Sharks, not completely sure what they're doing. Signing Trouba, trading for Nurse. Marchment, they got a big contract for him. I do like the Sharks. I do like the future and what they're building. but some of those moves were a little questionable for them. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Ovechkin coming back for another year. Cool for him. Don't think he'll play like a bunch next year, but I think he's still capable of scoring 20 goals a year in his 40s, which is pretty remarkable. Obviously, it'll be his last year. Had signed for the Caps. The Caps were very willing to bring him back, and the Caps have also made a lot of free agent moves. I don't think they'll win with him on the team anymore. So next year, honestly, I think the Caps will start building back up. It's kind of fun to see Ovechkin back in the league for one more year. And again, I think he can still put up 20 plus goals as a 40-some-year-old, which is kind of a remarkable statistic. We'll see. Hopefully he stays healthy. Congrats to him though for getting another $4 million. I mean, good for him. All right, that is kind of all I'm going to talk about for NHL free agency right now. Obviously, there's some more, but we don't need to get too far into that at this exact moment. That's kind of it for sports. I could go into more. Don't want to make this video too long because it's off season, other things to do. I'm going to talk about a little bit about movies, mostly TV shows, actually. I think really the only recent movie I've seen is the new Jackass movie. And it's kind of exactly what you expect it to be. Just older versions of them still doing dumb shit, which, hey, is honestly still very entertaining. It is the last one, they say. I believe it is the last one for sure. It's kind of crazy at their age, they're still doing some of these things. And the torture they put themselves through for entertainment, I guess I respect that, but it's insane. And then, yeah, the TV shows I've been watching, I'm just on the last episode of Ted Lasso right now. Great, just absolutely great show. If you want to be entertained and feel good, I would highly recommend it. And if you like sports, even a bigger bonus. It's not always all about soccer. Clearly, it's a TV show. They get into the characters' development, and some episodes aren't about soccer at all. But it's such a good show with great acting and just makes you feel good while still being entertained, which I do not think is the easiest thing to do. And I also know that season 4 is coming out in August. Not sure how that'll hit. Obviously, different team, different story. You still have a couple of the main characters in it. A couple of the main characters will not be in it. I still think it'll be very good. They weren't planning on doing season 4 clearly after the season 3 episode. It was goodbye. They were done with it, but it's such a popular show that it makes sense they're bringing it back. I just hope they are doing it for the right reasons, and I think they will. So I'm excited for season 4 of that. If you have not seen that and you like being entertained and feeling good, I would recommend checking that one out. What's next for what I'm going to watch? Honestly, I'd really like to see the Minions and Monsters movie. Yes, I'm 28, and I'm still kind of entertained by those little yellow guys. They're just funny, and yeah, they probably do it at this point just to keep making money. But I mean, why can't you make money and still make people laugh? Yeah, it's probably dumb. I'm going to check it out at some point. And then about 2 weeks now, we got Odyssey coming out. Clearly excited for that. The week after that, Brand New Days coming out. It's going to be a big July for Tom Holland. And I will be seated front row. Well, not front row, but I'll be seated opening night, probably middle row for those. And I'm quite excited to see those. There's going to be some good summer movies. It'll be good. And then, yeah, I mean, music, I'm kind of listening to the same stuff. I think my June recap just came out. Ella Langley was actually my top artist of the month. Great album, Dandelion is. I had Olivia Rodrigo up there. I had Dominic Fike up there. I had Drake up there. I had Leisure up there. And honestly, it was a great month of music. I think I listened to about 13,000 minutes or something like that. Hoping to listen to more in July, summertime. We'll see what albums kind of come to the top for this month. Might be some of the same, might be something a little different. We'll see what I'm feeling. And yeah, I actually did have one kind of weird question. It's a little bit out of nowhere. If you're watching a movie and there's a twist in that movie, is it better or worse if you call the twist before it happens? Because I think when people are like, oh, I knew it was going to happen before they actually did it, even if it's still a good twist, and then people are like, yeah, the movie's bad because of that reason, because I guessed the twist. I think a movie can still be good if you guess the twist. I don't think the twist has to be such a mystery that if you guess it, it ruins the entire movie. And it seems like people are kind of into that, which I've done that same thing. If I guess a twist, it probably will make me lower the ranking of the movie, even if it's still a really good movie. I don't know, kind of just an interesting thought. Why is it that if you kind of know what the twist is and it happens, that it makes the movie worse? I don't know, food for thought. So if you have any answers to that, let me know. I will try to, I think I'm going to really start hammering down on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule for these videos. Hopefully we get a little more sports action, some free agent action. NFL is going to start up pretty soon. We'll have always things to talk about when it comes to entertainment. And so you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the flippity flip.